all you should have to do, scroll, and it'll be on there. You can pull it.
All right, I call this Board of Education meeting April 19th to order. Roll call, please.
Kate Thomas.
Here.
Gabe Doney.
Here.
Jim Hansen is absent with notice. Clay Colomb.
Here.
Troy Carr.
Here.
Debbie Baker. And Amy Plisky.
Here. Have tonight Scott Craig for the invocation. Please come up.
Hi, everybody. Thank you again for your service to the community. And I would stay with you tonight, but I got a birthday dinner with my son and daughter-in-law. So I'm going to pray with you and then head out. Let's do that. Father God, we thank you again for life and for the way that you love and care for us, and you show it so many ways. We thank you for our home of South Dakota and right here in Rapid City. We thank you for the families that are touched and served by this school board and all the team of hundreds that come together to teach and to take care of and to clean and to work in our schools and provide an education as the state demands. This is a heavy role, and I thank you for giving the school board to the city. And we're simply asking your blessing on them, on their minds and their hearts as they work tonight and as they go through another agenda on another evening and consider what is best, what is best. And so we're asking your blessing on it. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, I need a motion for the approval of the agenda, with the caveat that we are taking executive session off, and the administration is taking number 11 off. Gotta say it. Gabe and Deb. All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right. We are on to sharing the success.
Thank you, Madam President. A few years ago, we worked with the Rapid City Public School Foundation to bring back the Rapid City Area Schools Teacher of the Year program. And since then, each school year, a teacher is nominated from each of our 23 schools. The teachers then go through a rigorous interview process with the foundation. And I am pleased to announce that Jen Macheski has been selected as this year's Rapid City Area Schools Teacher of the Year. Jen has been a kindergarten and first grade teacher at Valley View since 2010, this year serving as a junior first grade and intervention teacher. Jen has also played an active role in a variety of school and district committees, as well as serving on a South Dakota Department of Ed committee for English language arts. Jen has a true passion for teaching, and having been in her classroom, I've seen her passion in action in her work with her students. Please join me in congratulating Jen Macheski as this year's Rapid City Area Schools Teacher of the Year. I am going to ask Jen to share a few words with you. Thank you. And then we'll get a board photo in just a bit.
Hello. Like Dr. Simon said, I've been in the district teaching for about 10 years now, but I actually grew up in the Rapid City School District. I went to Berkwest, North Middle School, and Central High School. And it's been really an experience to kind of come for full circle. Katie Bray's husband, Mark Bray, was one of my favorite teachers at Central in band. And so it's fun to interact with you since then. So thank you.
And we have a small gift in recognition, so here, this is for you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Congratulations. All right, next I'm going to ask Luke Jagaris and his parents to join me. Senator Mike Rounds announced the 3 principal nominees for the U.S. Service Academies for the 22-23 school year. And among those 3 is Stevens High School senior Luke Jagaris, who is the principal nominee to the United States Military Academy at West Point. Luke is the son of Carl and Jill Jagaris. He holds a 4.14 GPA, is a team captain of the varsity football team, and a catcher for Post 22 baseball. Luke is also involved in Raiders Respect Club, National Honor Society, and the Economics Club. In addition, he participates in numerous types of volunteer service, including mission trips to Tijuana, Mexico, and snow removal at his church. Congratulations, Luke, and we wish you the best of luck.
I'd just like to say how excited I am to be able to represent South Dakota next year in New York, and I appreciate all the support that I've had through my journey, and I'm very excited to serve my country. Thank you, guys.
Board members, will you please join me in front of the dais?
All right, on to number 6, reports of the superintendent, the audit by Casey Peterson. Deidre, take it away.
This mouse is not working quite right. It's on. Yes. Yes. Oh, how could, this always happens. It works for the IT guys, but not for me. Okay. Oh, maybe it's because it needs a piece of paper. I'm Deidre Boudall with Casey Peterson. I'm a partner in charge of our audit area. Devin Paff is with me. He's an income partner, and he was also involved in the district's audit this year. We did distribute the full audits electronically. I believe you got those last week, and then paper copies were just distributed. There are a couple different reports in that paper document. The first one is what we call the governance letter. So that's just a letter that we're required to provide to the board, and it just talks about the audit at a very high level. It explains the responsibilities, our responsibilities. It explains the significant accounting policies that were in place and some of the estimates that were included, also some of the adjustments that were made. But we are going to talk about that as part of this other presentation that I've got tonight. All right. Trade spots with this stuff. All right, so on the financial statement audit, we issued unmodified opinions on the financial statements of the district. So unmodified opinions are the opinion you want that say that the financial statements are accurate and fairly presented. We also didn't have any issues with management. We did have some delays related to the turnover at Western Dakota Tech in their business office and then also in their bookstore, which caused us some problems that we'll discuss later. We did have 2 audit adjustments that we proposed during the year. One was related to accounts receivable for grants for the Perkins program at Western Dakota Tech, and then also related to the inventory at Western Dakota Tech. We also have 3 material weaknesses related to internal controls over payroll, adjustments related to inventory, and then also the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. And those findings are actually detailed on page 104 in the audit, if you want to look at those in a little bit more detail. The finding will break out what the criteria was, what caused the issue, and then also management's plans to mitigate those issues. As part of the audit, we're also required to audit federal grant programs. So during the 2021 year, we audited 6 federal grant programs representing $19.2 million in federal aid. The district had a little bit over $38 million in federal aid, so it was about half of the dollars that were audited during the year. All major federal programs received unmodified opinions, which means that the district complied with the requirements of those programs and also had control processes in place to handle the reporting of those grants and the compliance. We did have 2 findings related to the grants. Again, was related to the internal controls over payroll. So the same issue that was just previously discussed. And then also adjustments related to the district's schedule of expenditures of federal awards. That again was primarily related to Western Dakota Tech, where we had to make some revisions on the amount of dollars that they reported. Are there any questions on that part yet? All right. So then we have just a couple of snapshots here that are a little bit easier to read than that big audit packet. That'll put you to sleep at night if you have any trouble sleeping. So this first one is interperiod equity. So this is just looking at a 5-year trend of the district as a whole and the funding from year to year. So this is on what we call a full accrual basis. So this isn't necessarily consistent with how you're budgeting, if that makes sense, where you budget for capital outlays each year and you budget for debt payments like that. This is on the accrual, so it doesn't include those types of transactions. But you can see that the district built equity in 2021. It sort of compensates for the use of prior year funding in 2019 and 2020. You used some of those reserves, and so in 2021 you built that back up. The next one is the business type activities. So this would be the food service and the preschool program. So you can see that it's at 108%. That's primarily related to your food service program, which really your food service program had a pretty significant loss in 2020. So this builds that back up, and the food service program now has, you know, that cash balance restored that had essentially been zero last year. The next one, budgetary fund balance. So this is just looking at your general fund and evaluating the percentage of revenues that are available in your fund balance at the end of the year. And, you know, one of the things to keep in mind is this is all as of June 30th, so it's just that one point in time. Your percentage here was 13.12%. We generally suggest between 10 and 20%, depending on the district and what kind of activities you have going on. So the total dollar value there was about $13 million. It had increased from the prior year, basically due to federal revenue. The primary component of that was the funding that you got for the per student CARES money that you received during the year. The next one here talks about revenue dispersion. So this just gives you an idea of where the revenue is coming from for the district. You know, the components that are really not within, most of this is not within your control. The state sets the limits on property taxes. The state passes through all of your state aid and also the bulk of your grants. So really the district only has control over the charges for services, which were about 6%. That is a little bit higher than most districts. Most districts are about 2 to 4% in that category. And then the next one here is the expenditure allocation. So this just gives you an idea for the last 3 years of where your spending was at, so wages, benefits, capital, debt service, and other. You can see that the wages are pretty stable from year to year, as are the benefits. Just to put that into relation, your FTEs for 2021 were actually down by 64. And these numbers do include Western Dakota Tech as well, so you'll see some pretty big changes in that next year. There was an increase in sick leave used and temporary wages in 2021, but it was a lot more consistent with 2019 amounts than it was with 2020. And then the last slide here just calculates the days cash on hand. So this is looking at the expenses for the year per day and then comparing it to the amount of cash. So you can see that the general fund had 37 days cash on hand, special education had 141, post-secondary 187, and capital outlay 203. The capital outlay is a little bit misleading because you are sitting on some cash there that was meant to repay debt in 2022. There's about $17 million of debt payments coming due in 2022 with some crossovers and some refundings that had happened in prior years. You know, 37 days is not quite enough to cover payroll from for July and August. You know, typically we're seeing that districts are not getting the approval from the state on their federal grants until December or even January of each year, so you can't necessarily draw those funds. Your property taxes come in traditionally in November and April, so you know, you've got to have some cash sitting there to be able to fund payroll and expenses through the beginning of the school year there. You know, one of the things that I always get asked is, you know, in general, how are we doing? And I would say for the Rapid City School District, right now you're doing okay. The situation was pretty dire about a year ago. A lot of this federal funding has really helped shore up the finances of the district and allowed the opportunity to fund some of those things that maybe had always been a wish list or you know, you weren't anticipating funding. We're seeing, and I'm sure you guys have dealt with it, continued challenges from the pandemic as far as wages and supplies and some of those issues. So it's not over yet. We'll see how it goes. Any questions?
Just a couple thoughts to share with the board, Madam President. I think from a technical perspective, in terms of the actual findings, I just want to point out again, because it's difficult as you're reading through those findings to really dig through them and tear them apart. Technically, the only finding that applied directly to Rapid City area schools was 2021-001. And that was a fairly minor finding through some of the payroll process that we will make sure we get cleaned up. So from a technical perspective, I'm really pleased with how the audit went. We had another really great year in terms of technical management. Very quickly, I think Deidre made some good comments in terms of the financial condition of the district, how things have changed over the last several years. I believe we've done a good job in keeping the board apprised of how things are moving from a financial perspective, some of the issues that we're facing, both from a short-term and a long-term perspective. I think that in terms of how we are moving forward, and you heard Deidre talk a little bit about some of the federal funding that's come down, I am a firm believer in the idea that however the tide turns, that's how it turns, and we need to take advantage of that. We need to move the district forward in an intelligent way, which I think we're doing, and make sure that we're capitalizing on the opportunities that we're getting through that money, much as we have with the South Middle School project, which is a huge project that primarily is paid for outside of the district's coffers. So I feel very good about this audit. I think that we're moving in a good, solid direction, both from a technical perspective and a financial perspective. There's a huge amount of information in this document, so I'm sure you all will have restless nights where you don't have trouble sleeping. So as you read through it, anything that comes up that you would like to have more information on, or you have questions on, or just would like to know more about, please feel free to reach out. And I do think that in the coming weeks, in all of my free time, I'll try to do a little more analysis in some of these areas, because there are some really important pieces of information in these audits that I don't feel like we get enough opportunity to talk about, that I would like to make sure that the board understands. So I'll work on that, Madam President, and get that out to the board here in the near future. And certainly, again, as questions come up, please feel free to reach out. But thank you, Deidre, Devin, and your team. Great to work with, a very good partner to the district. So, Madam President, any questions we'll try to answer.
Just to tell you, I appreciate that, because sometimes, we don't know the questions that we need to ask.
Right.
And so you're the one who has the eyes on that, so that I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
One question for you. So Western Dakota Tech, we are done having them as part of our audit next year, or completely? Okay.
So they'll have one more year on the district's audit, because the separation technically did not happen until this fiscal year.
Okay.
So we'll have one more year with them on our audit, and then the 23 year will be complete separation and solely the district.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions for board members? Okay. All right. Thank you. Moving on to persons wishing to address the board. 5 minutes each. And first speaker is Janice Hackenberry. Did I say that right?
Good evening. Thank you for this portion of your program, because it's very important for the people of this community to be able to stand here and express themselves. Schools do exist to provide a true education for the children, and with true education, children will be taught how to think and not what to think. This board has many responsibilities. Most are established by state law, Each member of this board represents a group of citizens' values and concerns. The main goal of the school board is to provide a pathway for the children to learn to the best of their abilities and to finish their class requirements to be able to graduate and go out into the world. However, many things have to happen to accomplish that goal. The responsibilities are multifaceted. Lay people sometimes don't understand this concept. That's okay. This is why I see the board as the watchman on the wall. You each have different talents to make a complete board. I would encourage making decisions that are best for this district as a whole, despite any influences from the outside interest. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, Florence Thompson.
Good evening, Board. My name is Florence Thompson. I'm president of South Dakota Parents Involved in Education, and I'm also a retired school psychologist with over 40 years' experience in the schools. I'm going to be reading a little news this tonight because in case you missed it, but maybe you all heard it already. Florida's Department of Education rejected 41% of mathematics textbooks submitted for use in the state's public schools Friday, citing critical race theory and other issues with the text. Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has led a push to reform education standards and practices in the state. Florida called for textbook submissions from publishers in 2021 in accordance with a 2019 executive order from DeSantis aimed at eliminating Common Core standards in the state. The textbooks rejected were, quote, impermissible with either Florida's new standards or contained prohibited topics, unquote. The 41% rejection rate was the highest in Florida's history. It seems that some publishers attempted, now this is a quote, it seems that some publishers attempted to slap a coat of paint on an old house built on the foundation of Common Core and indoctrinating concepts like race essentialism, especially, bizarrely, for elementary school students, unquote. DeSantis said in a statement accompanying the announcement, quote, I'm grateful that Commissioner Cochran and his team at the department have conducted such a thorough vetting of these textbooks to ensure that they comply with the law, unquote. The DOE clarified that each core mathematics course and grade is covered by at least one approved textbook. The highest number of books rejected were for grade levels K-5, where an alarming 71% were not appropriately aligned with Florida standards or included prohibited topics and unsolicited strategies, the DOE said in its announcement. Quote, reasons for rejecting textbooks included references to critical race theory, CRT, inclusions of Common Core, and unsolicited addition of social emotional learning, SEL, in mathematics, unquote. The DOE also noted that publishers can appeal their rejections. The move comes weeks after DeSantis signed the Parental Rights in Education Act, which prevents educators from teaching about gender identity or sexual orientation to kids between kindergarten and third grade. So this was covered by Fox News and I believe CNN, probably all the major news medias, because it was a national press release. So I think this gives us something to aim for in South Dakota. I would like to see this happen in South Dakota. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Eldon Rice.
Good evening, Board. Thanks for allowing me to speak for a few minutes. This Friday's Earth Day. It's also my birthday. And I'll let you know a few things about me. I ran my cars on vegetable and biodiesel that I made for about 6 years when I was in California. And I lived off-grid. And I drove down here in a car powered by propane. So I know a lot about Earth Day things, and some things I agree with, and some things I don't. Spoke with a principal recently, and I asked him this question, and I'm going to ask you the same question. I know you can't answer me. Is there anything good about increasing levels of carbon dioxide that you can think of? I can think of something very important. you grow more food. Botanists tell us we need to be about 1,000 parts per million. Now, what are we now? 410, okay? So when the industrial era started, we were at 280. All plants die at 150, 180. We were very near extinguishing all life on Earth. So it's a good thing it went up. It's a good thing it's going up if you want to feed hungry people. We need to be about 1,000 for ideal crop growth. Now, did you know that? And the principal didn't know that. Why don't you know that? Because my hypothesis is it doesn't agree with the narrative. I look at the state standards, and it tells you the party line on the left. Why isn't there anything in there, arguments about why those who don't believe in global warming, what are the arguments? Because you don't want to place doubt in students' mind, is my opinion. That's what I think. So I would like to see the board get some balance to this. I've heard the arguments. I'm pretty well educated. I think if you argue me about global warming, you might not do very well. I don't think they've proven it to my standards. Could be happening, but there's a lot of negatives to chopping off, having carbon credits, and we see it now. Poor people, third and second world countries struggle with poverty when this happens. So I'd like you to show Al Gore's movie again. Everybody showed it. They were so giddy to show it. Let's show it again. Where was he right? Where was he wrong? Why was he wrong? That is science, allowing opposing views to be heard in the classroom. I don't like the state standards. I read them. Maybe I didn't read them all. I didn't like them. There's lots of reasons why. There's lots of good reasons why people don't believe in global warming. Or, on balance, we shouldn't just choke off all hydrocarbon burning. So this affects people. They vote, and they're not very well educated, in my opinion. It's time to let the kids hear both sides of the story. So that would be my suggestion. Show the movie again. Why not? You showed it the first time. You're going to find out who's wrong on a lot of stuff. A lot of the environmental stuff that I heard when I was growing up was completely wrong. So they have it. Remember, we were going to run out of hydrocarbons. We all had to write 55. Remember that? That wasn't true either. And those of us who did the research knew it wasn't true. So don't tell me that 97% of the, whatever it is, I don't even know where they get the number from. I keep trying to find where that is. So I don't want to hear that the majority of scientists believe it. I don't care, and I don't believe it. It's about the arguments, about the scientific arguments. If you can't present an argument for both sides in schools, then it's just wrong. So I would suggest doing that. I will tell you that I taught all my kids this stuff, and they learned that the schools were a place of indoctrination. The teachers wouldn't hear it, and they weren't very well versed about the arguments that I had. They couldn't respond to them. So ultimately, it doesn't make the school look very good. The kids learn eventually that they're being had. They're being indoctrinated with one side of the story. It's not healthy. It's not science. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And last speaker, Sarah Gross.
All right. Hi there. Gosh, thanks again for serving. I would like to share a few things just about what public education is. We've had such a polarizing year, and we hear such negative things about indoctrination. And I found a great book. I can share the name with you. I didn't bring it in with me. But, our public schools do so much for so many. They're a main source for childcare for working parents. They're key places for kids to get healthy meals. They're crucial for healthcare throughout the day. We get bloody noses, we get skinned knees, we get asthma inhalers. We take care of everybody at the schools. We help deal with mental health, and I think everyone can agree that being a kid today with technology is really challenging, and so we're there for kids with mental health needs. We serve as an oasis for children who are abused as mandatory reporters. The relative safety for some kids who live in dangerous neighborhoods, schools take them in for 8 hours a day. Schools can be more healthy and safety than some unstable home environments. Schools might be the only institutional setting for many kids in which the professional norm is to serve their best interest. And I think that one strikes me because schools are the place, not me, but just schools are the place where the kid's best interest is the only consideration. And I love that. One of the few places where young people have a shared experience. You know, growing up, everybody watched Lassie, and we could all talk about Lassie. And now with all the streaming services, they don't watch the same things. They don't play the same games. Some kids are outside, some kids are inside, and school provides a shared experience. Schools are where children can socialize with each other, and they're really just a gathering place. And so as we enter into this next election season, last year was painful for me. I don't know about any of you, but it was really painful as it became very, very partisan and very political. And I can't say that the candidates, that it was all your doing by any means, but we had real camps over here and over there. And I know it wasn't any one thing, but I saw in the paper today, and I noticed it, that the Republican women are hosting the Republican candidates for school board. And I thought, there are no Republican candidates for school board. There are candidates for school board because you are a nonpartisan position that serve the entire community. And so those were some of the thoughts that I'm thinking about this week. And, you know, America has gone from in the 50s of having a 50 or 60% graduation rate to now we graduate 85, 90% of kids. And that's including special education children. And so I think that the federal government, some of the mandates that you all talk about wanting to do away with, in fact, Florence's South Dakota PI, Parents Involved in Education, has like their mission statement is that we are a national coalition of states attempting to abolish the U.S. Department of Education. And I think that we cannot give weight to these very, very extreme views and dismantle the beautiful thing that public schools are. All of those things I listed at the beginning are the wonderful things that our schools are doing. And by really focusing on the culture war aspect and the indoctrination, we're hurting something that is flawed. I'm not going to ever say it's perfect. I could talk to you all day about standardized tests, and I could talk to you all about the nitty-gritty stuff, but I really think that as we enter into this campaign season, we really have to be positive about our schools. We have to keep the national politics and the culture wars and the tribalism out of it to serve the students of Rapid City. Which takes me to my weekly topic, or my bi-weekly topic of buildings. We need buildings. I think I have enough time to tell you a story about one building I was in lately. Teachers are parents. Very, very frequently teachers are parents. And I was in a building for some professional building development, not my own building. And I saw, now some of you are going to squirm, but it's okay, a breastfeeding schedule. You know, when mothers work, they have to pump. And this was a storage closet with a pumping schedule on it. Teachers are sitting in facilities that are outdated and having to take care of really private things in a storage closet. We need new facilities for our staff to be good family members, to breathe clean air, and we need to continue that conversation every single week until we start to build a new elementary school. When we replace Robbinsdale, when we replace South Park, when Pinedale and Horace Mann, they get talked about more. Thank you for your time today, and continue on with your meeting.
Thank you. No, we'll have to talk about it at some other time. You've had your 5 minutes, but we could address it at a different time if you want to get a hold of me afterwards. No, not if you actually go back and read it. Okay, we are now on to my favorite part, the student representative reports, and we only have one tonight, but go ahead, Colton Porter.
Thank you, President Thomas. I am the only one up here. It's kind of weird. I'll give it a shot, though. Good evening, board. My name is Colton Porter, and I hope you all had a very fun and fulfilling spring break. It was a lot of fun for me. I got to see some family that I hadn't seen in a very long time. But with that being said, just beginning in chronological order, this Saturday is prom. It's a pretty cool gig. A night where both juniors and seniors can spend an evening dressing up, screaming at the top of their lungs, and having an all-around good time. After the prom, Central will be hosting a post-prom in the Activities Fieldhouse and the NAS Gymnasium, and the Evening of Excellence is next Monday. This is a night to celebrate and honor the top 5% of the senior class. This banquet will be held at the Monument. Now, furthermore, the ACT Honor Roll Breakfast will be the 27th of April, and this breakfast is for all of those at Central who scored above a 24 on the ACT. Now, this is a nationally recognized honor roll from the ACT organization itself, and not just Central High School. It's a pretty big deal. Moving on, Central High will be hosting the Spring Play Alice in Wonderland next week on the 28th through the 30th. Tickets are $5 in the activities office. It's a must-see. Go watch it. Thank you. There will be a blood drive next Tuesday and will be the final one of the year. And also, students who plan to enroll in summer school must do so by May 2nd. Club Senior Night, which is an evening dedicated to senior students who participate in student council, debate, knowledge bowl, science bowl, and other activities, will be, oh, excuse me, I totally typoed that. It'll be here in the next couple weeks. My apologies. Graduation speaker auditions are on May 5th. The 9th grade Academy signing ceremony will be May 6th. This night is meant for freshman students at Central to declare their desired academy and celebrate their choices. And then Senior Honor Convocation is May 9th. This event is held in Central's auditorium and is meant to celebrate all of the cum laude graduates and their achievements in the district. And finally tonight, Central's band and choir programs will be showing off their musical chops at Stevens and Central next Wednesday for the area large group contest. Central's band programs have been preparing for the last couple months for this exciting event, and thank you all for listening. And thankfully, this is the first meeting I've had where Representative Hayden Bentz hasn't talked crap about Central, so I'll take that win. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Really quick question, how much were the prom tickets and where do they get them?
So they are $20 or $35 for two, and you can get them also at Central High School activities, and they are cash only.
Thank you. All right. On to conflict of interest. We have no waivers turned in, so on to the approval of the consent with number 11 having been taken out. So I need a motion. Troy and Amy. All right, all those in favor. Does anybody want anything pulled? It's been pulled already. Yep. So any other consent agenda items that anybody wants pulled?
I'll just offer a comment. Item 11 are the handbooks for the different high schools, and we've pulled that at the beginning of the meeting when we approved the agenda, and we will be discussing them in study session next Tuesday. Then they will be back on the agenda at our next business meeting.
Thank you, Amy. All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay, moving on to 12, reports of the superintendent. We got up first. Communities That Care survey.
Thank you. I'm new to this, so I didn't know if I was just supposed to get up and go.
Okay.
And okay, let me get this going here, and we'll get started. Oops, the wrong one. I could do it again. I don't know if people would like that. All right. First, I want to say thank you for having us here tonight. The purpose of tonight is really to give an overview of Communities That Care. It's a youth prevention model that communities use to work on things like reducing risk factors, increasing support, and protective factors for kids in a community. So I know we're kind of constrained for time, so I'll be brief. But to introduce myself, my name's Murray Lee. I work for United Way of the Black Hills here in Rapid City. I'm the Mental Health Initiative Director, and I'm one of the two facilitators for this Communities That Care effort here in Rapid City. The other facilitator being Linda Kohlhoff Glover, who is the Executive Director for ASAP, the Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention. And together, we facilitate this effort in Rapid City. Together, we were trained in very intense CTC-specific information and ways to do workshops and how to implement this model here in Rapid City. So with that, we'll just get started. Our vision statement is that through communities that care, through this work that we're going to be doing, we want to ensure that Rapid City is a safe, healthy, culturally responsive community by engaging and empowering all youth and families through advocacy, awareness, education, and partnership. And that vision really speaks to the collection of people that are involved with this effort. We have a variety of people, leadership, invested community members that are all very involved in the work that we're going to be doing, the work we've already done, creating this vision statement about diversity and inclusivity, because that's what it's about. It's about working with the entire community to create healthier circumstances for kids throughout the entire community. So a little bit about how it works. CTC isn't a program. It's not something that we bring to Rapid City and, we work for 6 months or a year and then, oh, look what we did. This is fantastic. It's not a program. It's a model. It's a system. It's a structured organizational way for communities to work to create a healthy environment and healthy opportunities, opportunities for skills and recognition, to build resilience, to build confidence among kids in the community. And it's a structure and a model that we follow to do those things. And it's designed in a very deliberate and intentional way so that it does that exact thing, so that our work is fruitful and meaningful and impactful for the community. So there's 5 phases. The first phase, you get started. We decide to bring it to Rapid City. We get our key leaders together. Those key leaders are trained in CTC because, again, not everybody is from a prevention background that's a part of this work. So we get them trained in the CTC process. They help us get a community board together. Then we move into phase 2, which is where we get organized, get all our policies and operating procedures put together. That's where the vision statement was developed and created. We get our community board trained in prevention science. Linda and I did workshops to get everybody up to speed on what is communities that care, how does it operate, how does it function, and what is our role in it. We get our 6 work groups together, and those work groups really are the boots on the ground that implement all the programs and do all the work out in the community. And that's kind of where we're at now, because we're moving into phase 3, which is we develop our community profile. And what that means is we conduct our youth survey. We get real-time, current data from the kids in this community about challenges they're facing and things that are supportive in their lives, positive things, what helps them feel good about themselves, as well as their challenges. So we collect that data from that survey. We work diligently to review it, assess it, evaluate it, figure out what our priorities need to be for Rapid City. So what our kids are going through. What can we do to create healthier circumstances through our work? We develop that. We move into phase 4. We create a plan using the reports from our assessment and evaluation work groups to decide, okay, what do we need to focus on? What challenges do we need to focus on? What in the community is already working and doing great things with kids and youth that we can support or bolster or expand, because that's part of this. It's a very flexible structure to figure out what's working in the community. Let's support it. What's missing in the community? Let's find something to fill that gap, because it's all really just about helping kids. And we have clear and measurable outcomes so that we're not just doing stuff willy-nilly. We're not just doing stuff to be doing stuff. It's very intentional. It's very deliberate. And then we move into phase 5. That's where the rubber meets the road. We track our progress. We evaluate. We implement the programs if we decided to bring programming to the community. That's where we support the organizations or the groups that are already doing great things with kids. And then we start again, because this isn't a program. It's a cycle. It's cyclical, and it's meant to go on for years and years. It's meant to be sustaining, and it's built into the work groups to help it be a sustaining piece of the community. So a little bit more about how it's organized. There's several components to the communities that care. And if you see this graphic, it's really about coming from the community, because it's for the community. So it has to come from the community. Everyone that's involved in this lives here, has a very vested interest in what we're trying to do. There's key leaders. Those are people that are influential, help us access resources, help us network with people or organizations that we need to. they help support us. There's community board members. Same thing, that's really a working board. Those people that are on the community board actually move down into those 6 work groups and really do the work of communities that care. They do the data stuff. They do the implementation. They work with youth. They do outreach to the community. There's an executive committee that's elected by the community board that oversees the work, makes sure we're staying on task and doing the things that we need to be doing. There's the facilitators, myself and Linda Kohlhoff-Glover, to help guide the work. And then there's the work groups. I won't go into great detail on the work groups, but there's 6 of them, and they do everything from assessment and evaluation to PR and outreach to the community to youth involvement, because we have to have kids at the table, and not just at the table, but involved in the processes and everything that we do to help us, guide us, because we're doing it for them. This is just a graph. It's actually the result of a years-long study of 24 communities, 12 that were implementing CTC and 12 that were not. And you can see by the orange, which are the CTC communities, that there were much more positive results, or an increase over the control communities in positive results across a variety of domains, from community to school to family. And if you notice, high commitment to school and academic success are all increased in communities that are implementing communities that care. And it's because the entire community is involved and supports it and works to do these things that are beneficial and positive for kids and their families. So a little bit about the survey, because that's why I'm here tonight, to inform, and it's our hope that we can conduct this survey in the Rapid City schools. And it was a lot of work to get this survey created. And it was a lot of leadership from a lot of different agencies. Building it up from the Youth Development Survey that's been used for years, the Cheeseman Survey. There's links to historical data that's already being collected. There's questions that fulfill potential grant funding for different organizations. And with the help of Roland Laudenberg from Mountain Plains Evaluation, the depth of his expertise helped guide us in creating a survey that's it's going to help us with the data that we need to see what the challenges are, what kids are facing, what helps them, what supports them, but also to be done in a very timely manner. I think when we had our discussions, it can be completed in like 10 to 15 minutes. So it's not this super, crazy long survey or this burdened. It's something that we can collect in a very succinct, timely manner, and efficient manner to guide us in our work and to guide other agencies and to help guide anyone that needs access to this data so that we can help the community and help kids. And again, it's our commitment, obviously, to have this collected with parental consent. It's our commitment, it's our deep commitment to maintain privacy, because we don't need to know who's going through this. We just need to know what's happening in Rapid City with our kids. What's going on? What are the good things? What are the challenges? And it will help guide us in our work. And you look at this, who is it going to help? It's going to really help everybody, because we'll have real-time data, we'll have current data, not data from a year ago or 5 years ago or 8 years ago. It's going to be current. It's going to be from like this year, so that we know exactly what's happening right now in Rapid City, so that we can build our programming, our services, and better serve the people that we're trying to serve, which is kids and families. So in essence, it's really just about helping the community. It's about creating healthier circumstances for kids, helping with things like anxiety and stress. It's hard to be a kid these days. It really is. And if we can do something in some small way that becomes a very big thing, a very great thing for the community, then that's what we're committed to do. And that's what we're committed to doing through Communities That Care, is involving the entire community, because this isn't just for certain neighborhoods or certain kids or certain groups. It's for everybody. And it's built to be that way. It's built to be inclusive, and it's built to be for everybody. So with that, again, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to come and speak to you about Communities That Care. I know you have an information packet as well, so I'm more than happy to answer any questions about Communities That Care or about the survey, or Roland can assist me with some of the technical language if I don't know, quite what to say about the survey. because he was so helpful in all of that. And if there's not questions tonight, I would encourage you, as you read through it, as you think about it more, if there's something that comes up, please don't hesitate to reach out either to myself or to Linda or to any one of the key leaders or community board members that are listed in your packets, because we're all trained in CTC now, and we're all willing to share information about this great project.
So, first of all, I don't think we did get a packet unless it was sent via email of this presentation. So I don't know what.
Oh. Well, I can send you guys.
Please do.
I will.
I do have a couple of questions, but I'll
Sure.
wait for other board members if they have questions first. Go ahead, Deb.
Is the survey in the packet?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, because we want to be as open and transparent as possible, so you can see what the actual survey is. I mean, that's fair, and absolutely. We want to operate in a way that's transparent.
Any other questions? Okay, so that was one of my questions,
All
if we
right.
could see the survey. Are there incentives that you give to the students or whoever the survey is for to take the survey?
I would love to answer that, but right now I can't, because what this is going to involve is a lot of work, a lot of discussions, a lot of planning, so that we can best administer it. If we're going to administer it through the schools, there has to be discussions on, well, what's the best way? Because we want to get as large a sample size as possible. We want that to be accessible. We want it to be taken. So yeah, that may be something. There may be incentives. There may not be. That's just something that as we progress down this road, that's something that we're going to have to discuss and see what's best, see what the best way to move forward would be.
And then the other question is, where does the funding come for the survey itself?
Well, the funding for this model, for this whole process of communities that care, is actually covered for the first 2 years through the generous support of the John T. Vukurevich Foundation.
Okay.
And to speak to future funding needs, there's one of the work groups is actually a funding work group, which their sole purpose is to raise funds for this so that we can operate in a way that's fiscally responsible and so that we have the funds to do what we need to do, whether that's purchasing programming or paying for consultants or whatever that looks like. We have the funding group there working diligently to raise funds for us. But for the first 2 years, that's covered.
Okay. All right, that was all I had. Any other questions? No? Go ahead, yeah.
Thank you. Just really quickly, what is the I think enforcement's the wrong word. How are you reaching into the community? What mechanisms are you using to get to students?
Well, again, we're getting started, but we have a group, a youth involvement work group. We have a PR and outreach work group that their sole duties are really built around educating not just youth, but educating families, educating the community, getting the information about what we're doing, who we are, out into the community. I know our work group with the youth right now is working on with Youth City Council and other groups to really get them at the table. And we've had discussions that because of the nature of this work and because of what we're trying to accomplish, we have to involve youth. We have to have that voice heard and allow spaces and forums for them to tell us in their own words, what they're going through, what it's like, what they would like to see in the community, what that might look like. So getting that input from the people that were dedicated to serving through this work is important. So to answer your question, that's ongoing. It's done through a variety of outlets. It's reaching out to a variety of organizations that are working with kids or that are run by kids.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Go ahead, Amy.
So just from the little bit of information I can glean without the packet, this is a community-run organization. It's all based just on our community. Is there a foundation that it's based on that's a national program, or is it organic to our community?
It's a structure that's based on research and evidence-based programming that really works. It comes out of the University of Washington from the late 1980s and the early 1990s, and it was developed around this idea that every community is different, but is there a way to work on youth prevention, to create healthier circumstances for kids, to work with families, to engage the community, to build community attachment, all those things. Is there a way to do that? And there is. And it's really, as I said, it's just a structure. It's a model that we use, but it's going to be filled in with all the unique aspects of Rapid City, all the unique demographics, all the unique challenges, all the great opportunities and great support systems that exist here. It's becoming very custom fit to us, and it's designed that way. So how we're doing it here in Rapid City is going to be much different from, say, if they're doing it in Billings, Montana. It's going to be different because every community is different. So it's really just a structure. It's not really a national foundation. It's an organization that has this system that communities can use to work on youth prevention.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
I think that's it. Thank
All
you
right.
very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
And we look forward to the packet. All right, next we have the benefits plan. Sean Arnett.
Hi, this is Kristen Strisson, the HR Director, and just wanted to introduce Sean Arnett from Brown & Brown. For those of you who have been paying rapt attention to our benefits plan over the years, which I hope includes everyone, they were formerly referred to as Hayes. It's the same company, it's the same team of people who know our plan very well and spend time with us. It's just now they are referred to as Brown & Brown. They act as a third-party consultant, and so they work with us to analyze our plan, to evaluate it regularly, to help us understand where we are in conjunction with other school districts elsewhere in the country, elsewhere in our region, help us to figure out if we want to make changes for plan design to offer the best that we can for financial stability to our district, but also best in class that we can employees for our benefits. And so what Sean has traveled in, and thanks again for flying in, Sean, to share with us tonight is a preliminary benefits renewal. This information, it's very important to note that it is preliminary because we cannot finalize our renewal numbers until we get much closer to the beginning of the next plan year. But Sean is going to walk you through to give you an idea of where our plan is and take questions. Thanks a lot, Sean.
Thank you, Kristen. And yeah, thank you for allowing me to fly in from 30-degree weather to 75, so I'm not going to oppose that. So thank you for that as well. I was going to make mention of that. So formerly Hayes and Companies, we're still the same company, just a new name. I am going to take you through a high level today of how your plan is running through the first 6 months, and as Kristen mentioned, give you a quick sneak peek of our initial review of how 2022-2023 plan year will look. There's still a lot of work to be done, a lot of negotiations and analysis to be had. However, it's very important to kind of see where our starting point is. But real quick, I will give you an update of the current plan year, looking at the medical and also dental reports. So for the 2021-2022 plan year, for the first 6 months of the plan year, the plan is running slightly higher than it has in the past. Now, over the next couple months, we'll be getting more detailed analysis. We'll actually be getting raw claims data from Wellmark, so we can take a dive to see if this is general utilization, if there's any COVID impact, which we haven't seen through other reports quite yet, or if it's high case activity, and I'll go through some of that as well. But what this page is really showing you is in the blue category, or blue column, is your plan year to date, again, first 6 months, compared to your 2020-2021 plan year, so your last year. Through the current 6 months, your medical plan is running about 92% of your carrier's Wellmark's contractual claims. This time frame last year, it was running 79%. I will show you a little more detail into that as well. You ended last year at 77%. You actually, to expected, you ended at 97.1. So a favorable year to contractual expected. Again, I'll get into more detail there in a second. When we look deeper into the claims themselves, again, the blue is your current plan year, and the yellow on your right is last plan year. We notice a couple things. You do have fewer bodies in this current plan year. And keep in mind, when we have fewer bodies, there is fewer premiums coming in. But there are still claims that came in from those employees. I see some board members squinting. Is that kind of blurry on your screens as well a little bit there? I'm not sure if was it just my screen or yours as well. I'll take you through the best I can here. So on the blue side, I kind of focus towards the bottom here where I'm moving the mouse, and that's the averages. And when I look at the averages for the first 6 months, you've had about 1.6 million in claims average per month compared to last plan year of 1.3. Now we know Wellmark's medical and RX trend is around 8.2%. With the fewer bodies, with the higher claims utilized in the first 6 months, and with a high claim month in December, your PEPM, which is per employee per month costs on claims, are running 22.6% higher than at the same time frame last year. Again, high level, because we will be getting more detailed claims analysis over the next couple months. But again, through the first 6 months, we did notice that your facility claims, so those are claims that are inpatient or outpatient hospital, account for 43% of your total claim dollars. Compared to last year, it was 37%. So that tells us we are seeing some more higher cost claims, because anytime you have a claim inpatient or outpatient hospital, those facility claims are your higher cost claims. As I mentioned, one thing we do also look at are high claimants. So the plan has stop loss or reinsurance of $175,000. So what that means is for any individual covered under the plan, once claims exceed $175,000 for that individual, those claims are not on the books for Rapid City. Those are credited back to you. As of through February, you had one member over that specific amount. That's at the very top. And you can mention it, you can see that it was a quite substantial claim, a $730,000. So we track these claims. One thing we don't have, because of PHI, Protected Health Information, are exact details into what these claims are. One thing we will work with Wellmark is to see if these are any ongoing claims, long-term or short-term, because that'll be very important when we do our renewal projections for the upcoming plan year. Now, one tool that we do run for the district is called a high case analysis tool, and we do that every year at renewal time. And for this current year, we would expect 9.9 or 10 members to exceed that threshold of $175,000. Through the first 6 months, you have one. We could say it's trending favorable, but again, it's only 6 months. And after the very first person who's already crossed that threshold, there are a few that probably will cross over in the next few months. So again, we'll continue to track those as well. Another thing we want to look at is how efficient the plan is running. And what that means is we want to look at the billed dollars, those dollars that are, those claims that are being billed to Wellmark, and then how on the back end they're coming out through Rapid City. So on the left, you can see that through February, September through February, $20.1 million has been billed to Wellmark. Before those claims even hit the plan, Wellmark provides the provider discounts. They look at coordination of benefits, that's COB, contract limitations, sometimes claims are denied or duplicate charges. And then, as I just mentioned, those credits that you get back from anyone that crossed over the specific, the high case specific stop loss level. So of that $20.1 million, immediately $8 million is taken off. That leaves a net eligible charge of 11.6 there in the middle. That amount then goes to plan design. So this is where your covered members pay their portion of the deductible, coinsurance, and copays. Premiums are not included in this page here. That'll be next. So that 11.5 million, another 1.2 comes off, so 11%, which leaves a paid amount of $9.7 million. So of that initial $20 million that has been billed to the district, or billed to Wellmark, the district has paid $9.7 million, or that bottom number there, the 48.5%, we call that the efficiency. So every dollar that comes in, the district is paying 48.5 cents on that dollar. We then want to go one step further and look at what we call the member burden, the distribution of cost. So the previous page we showed that obviously members pay deductibles, coinsurance, copays. We also have taken account that they're paying premiums. So what this page is showing, this slide is showing, in that gray are the total dollars of the plan. We have fixed costs, that's administration, taxes, stop loss. Then of course we mentioned we have claims, medical and pharmacy, and then staff contributions. So in the far right side, the orange is the covered, are the members. So they're not paying fixed costs directly, they're paying it through premiums, but they are paying their portion of medical in RX, but they're also paying their contributions. So together through September through February, your covered members have paid $4.1 million, with the district paying the fixed costs, the remaining portion of the claims, but then of course getting the credit that they received from payroll deductions. So that leaves $7.9 million. So for the first 6 months of the plan, the split has been a 66-34. So 66% have been paid for by the district and 34% by the staff. Now there's not a lot of studies out there that benchmark member burden. So the gold standard is the Milliman benchmark, and that's here in gray. For 2021, the benchmark is 58% employer, 42% employee. Again, I just mentioned right now the district's at a 66%, 34%. Now this is a moving target. As the plan goes on, more claims are paid by the employee. That'll lessen that amount paid by the district. But once employees start meeting their out-of-pocket maximums, that leaves the plan to pay. Last year, the footnote right here, Rapid City ended at a 62-38 split. At that time, the benchmark was a 60-40. So the district is moving a little more in the direction away from the benchmark, meaning it's a little more employee-friendly, as the employer is paying a little bit more of the cost. Dental is dental. It's pretty routine, but we do like to show how it's running. We do like to make sure that nothing is coming out in claims that's out of the ordinary, and it's not. We're seeing that the majority of claims are coming in diagnostic and preventative, the regular restorative, and special restorative. We're not seeing anything in your plan design that's indicating any anomalies. The one thing during COVID, although many doctors did not close in South Dakota, we did see a lot of dentists start to scale back visits, but we're not seeing any kind of influx on the dental side. With that said, you'll see in the renewal, we do see that trend going up, and so we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And you see that the lower benchmark, or I'm sorry, the lower bullet point there, that the current Delta Dental of South Dakota trend is about 5% on dental. So when we roll all of this up in a funding analysis to kind of take all of those pieces that we just talked about into one area, we look at two columns, and this first is the year to date. We take what has happened today and we try to annualize it. Now please keep in mind what happened in the first 6 months is not going to happen in the next 6 months. So we do have to make some assumptions when we annualize it, but we do put that together for you, and then we compare that to last plan year end. So the very top section, it looks at contributions. We look at the district contributions and the staff contributions. Please note, this does not take into account any premium holidays that may have been provided to the staff between September and February, and I believe there was one at the time. Okay? All in, that's about $10.69 million of contributions. Those fixed costs, we saw a couple slides earlier, just over $1 million. The RX rebates and miscellaneous charges. So one of the benefits you receive through Wellmark are RX rebates. So those are rebates that are provided by pharmaceutical manufacturers, and it's 100% pass-through. So each quarter, Wellmark provides back to the district's plan a credit for any rebates they received on prescriptions that were filled through the plan. Every end of the plan year, 90 days after, Wellmark then also runs a full audit to catch any RX rebates they have missed and provided a credit as well. Through the first 6 months, the plan has received $644,000 in credits. We talked earlier about the claims, $10.5 million. So the fixed costs plus the claims, less those rebates, leave the total plan expenses of $10.9. As mentioned, they've taken in $10.6 in contributions. So through the first 6 months, we're 2.4% above the budget, or about $261,000. Again, if we were to annualize this, taking into a lot of assumptions, that would trend out to about just under a 7% increase over budget, or 1.3, compared to last year, which was a favorable year, where we saw a slight surplus of about $862,000. At that time, it was about 4.5% under budget. We take it one step further. We look at those plan expenses, the $10.9 million, reduction of the staff contribution. It gets us that PEPM, per employee per month cost of the district, of $919.53. Which does show a 23% increase over last plan year. Again, taken into perspective, last plan year was a favorable year, and so was the plan year prior to that, 1920. So it is looking a little inflated due to being over a positive, more favorable year. But again, through the first 6 months, it is running at 23% higher than at this time last year. So what we also want to show you is a quick look at the initial renewal for the upcoming plan year renewal, so 2022, 2023. Real quick, is just a reminder, the medical plan for this current year, so when we were here last year, around this time and later in the year, received a 5.8% increase. The initial was somewhere in the 6% range. We were able to work that down to a 5.8. The dental plan received a no change last year, but we also enhanced those benefits by adding 2 programs through Delta Dental of South Dakota, and that's the Prevention Pays and Health Through Oral Wellness. And then the base life and AD&D rates, which are paid for by the district, were reduced from 10 cents per thousand down to 9 cents per thousand last year as well. This year, like last year and the years before, we do go out to market. Our job is to make sure that we're surveying to not only ensure that Wellmark is providing the best benefits at the best rates, but also what the market can provide. Is there something different? What are their rates? What are other opportunities out there? So we have already gone out to the market for your medical plan, for the stop loss, and for the prescription drug. The ancillary line at the bottom, that refers to your base life and accidental death. Those are under a rate guarantee, which I'll show you, so we don't need to market those for this year. So right away, let's just jump into the summary. So right now in the medical plan, this top box, if you can see it on your screens there, that's the snapshot of today. So based on the contractual rates from Wellmark and your current funding, we look at 3 different areas. We look at the total fixed costs. Again, that's going to be your administration through Wellmark, stop-loss insurance, and the like. Then we're going to look at the carrier's contractual expected claims, where their underwriters believed you would come in at. And then the total estimated claims at maximum, so your maximum claim liability. So this year, Wellmark had about $21 million. We have you funding at about 17.2 based on, again, part of that's due to the reduction in employment base as well. For the current plan year, your funding rates are at 101% of Wellmark's contractual expected. And I'll show that on another slide. As I mentioned, we also already went out to the market. We also received the initial renewal from Wellmark. Now, again, as Kristen mentioned, these can't be finalized until we get closer to your renewal date. So between now and then is really where we do our work to negotiate with Wellmark, to utilize market experience, and to really evaluate what else is out there for the district. Wellmark initially is coming in with a 19.1% increase on fixed costs. I will break these out for you here in a second. Their expected claims is 12.9% increase. So when we combine those together, they're at a 13.2%. Our funding analytics also indicates about a 13.2% increase. And this is the initial, and I'll show you that here in a second. As I mentioned, the market, we did go to Health Partners and United Healthcare. For anyone who was here last year or tuned in online or read the reports, these are 2 carriers that have provided competitive proposals in the past. They are becoming more prevalent in the Rapid City area, and they once again provided some competitive initial proposals. Health Partners, they're coming in with a 17.2% increase on fixed cost, a lower expected claim cost, so a 9.4. Now you will see here, though, we have a recommended funding for Health Partners of 14.8, and I'll explain that in a second. United Healthcare, through some different programs they do with their pharmacy rebates, they apply that to their administration, so they actually provide an administration cost that's a 44% decrease. Again, I'll show that in a second. 8.8%, so very in line with Health Partners, around that 9% increase in claim rates. So a 2% increase with United Healthcare. And you'll see that we'd have them funded 11%. One of the reasons you see our funding rates a little higher for Health Partners and United Healthcare than their actual contractual rates are very simple. When you bring in a new carrier, we have to be a little more conservative. Not only are they a new carrier to the group, they're a newer carrier to the area. They're growing. And how they manage claims are different than Wellmark. Health Partners manages claims different than United, United different than Health Partners, and so forth. So to be conservative, we would take our underwriting and apply that to their fixed costs, which I'll show you in a second. Now, if that conservative, if you were ever to move to a carrier, if that conservative rate provides a surplus, that's when you can look at things like premium holidays in the future. But let me break that out for you a little bit more. So this is our underwriting along with Wellmark's initial proposal, or initial renewal. The left column of each column is your current. This section here is on a per employee per month basis, my apologies, and this is on an annual cost. So what we're looking at is right here, that 12.9%, that's that increase that we just mentioned in Wellmark's expected claim rates. Their stop loss premium is a 15% increase. And just as a reference, leverage trend, and what that means is keeping a stop loss, $175,000 for example, the same level year over year, while you have trend and inflation, leads to what's called leverage trend. Leverage trend for a group your size is between 22 and 25%. So 15% is a favorable initial renewal. That is the bulk of that initial administration cost. Their cost of just total fixed cost. Their administration is up 2.4% for a total administration fixed cost of 19.1. So when you take that of total fixed plus that expected claim cost, there's the 13.2% that Wellmark is initially proposing. You can see right beneath that, Hayes companies, which it still says Hayes, it should say Brown and Brown now, I guess. We have to change that. Our analytics, we do very similar underwriting than that the carriers do, although we're able to take a bit more data and apply more situations to that analytics to get a more detailed dive into your group. But you'll see that we came very close to at our initial that Wellmark did as a 12.2. And that is also, again, why when we look at other carriers, for that first year, we would apply our number to their fixed cost. That 13.2%, to give you an idea of where that falls, the bulk of that cost, 90%, are in claims. So when we see a 15% increase on the stop loss or a 19% over on fixed cost, that represents a very small piece of the pie, 6.7%. And then 3.9% on administration. The bulk of the cost comes directly from those claims. Okay. If that's where we end up, I like to think that's more of our starting point, but we want to show you what that would look like to staff contribution. So if that 13.2 carried over, an employee-only tier as the top would go from a $99.18 to a $112.30, or a $13.12 increase per month. An employee plus one would go up $60.23, and then a family would go up $90.34. And then you can see the other columns have the 9-month employees, and then also for the employee plus one and family tiers if they have a spouse in the district. Okay. So again, that's our initial starting point. That's where we start now working with Wellmark to work with them on negotiations based on market presence and market leverage we receive from Health Partners and Union Healthcare. We're also looking at other opportunities within Wellmark of plan designs. So what we do also is we get raw claims data to look at the opportunity where plans need to be more efficient. And in doing so, can make appropriate plan design changes or recommendations that not only assist the plan in being more efficient, but it provides a better cost to employees in certain areas of both benefits and premiums. So that's our next steps working with Kristen and her team to identify where we can make this, this renewal less than that 13.2. Dental, as I mentioned, the dental plan is running okay. We haven't had an increase in the contributions in a couple years, actually since we've took the plan out of being combined with the medical plan itself. As I mentioned, trend is running about 5%. We do know Delta Dental South Dakota, you're a self-funded plan. They will be increasing their administration rate this year about 5%. It's a small portion of the total cost, but at this time for the initial preliminary renewal, we are noting a 5% increase in the funding rates. That would result in an 18-cent cost per month increase to an employee, $1.42 in the plus one, and $2.09 to the family. As I mentioned before, the base life and AD&D, those are under rate guarantee through the plan year 2023. So those will not be changing. They'll stay at 9 cents per 1,000. So when we wrap these all up, we look at 3 categories. We look at the medical, the dental, and the base life. The projected total expenses are at the top. So this is before any premiums. Projected staff contributions. And then I'll talk about down here the projected district contributions. So with this initial, if we look at the current annual expenses based on what has happened in the first 6 months and projecting that out, we show a projected district cost of $12.7 million. That 13.2% renewal after contributions would be 14.4. Dental from a 1.1 million up to a 1.18. That's 5%. Again, no change here on the base life. So a total increase of a 12.5% or 1.7 million. And that's an interesting slide. And that's actually the last slide there. So any questions on the performance, current performance, or the initial renewal look?
Do board members have any questions? Go ahead, Amy.
You're saying that our increase is so high because our costs were so low last year.
No. When we're looking at that, that's just when we look at a number on a per employee per month basis increase over a year. Sometimes we want to, when we see a larger number, it's not simply a function of some higher claim. You do have higher claim utilization for the first 6 months, and we saw that high claimant, which was pretty high. You had a very high December. But it's also higher when you look at it because last year was a favorable year, so that's going to play a role into it as well. When we look at just this plan year by itself, without looking at that PEPM increase over last year, again, those are the things that we're seeing right now, is the higher utilization, which we want to see where that's coming from. Are they elective surgeries? Is it COVID related? Or is it plain and simple higher utilization because people are going back for routine things? And again, you do have quite a few higher stop loss individuals, high claimants, than you did at this point last year as well.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Coy, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sean, I just want to go back. One of your earlier slides, I think maybe if you could reiterate for the board, when you look at the actual percentage increases by category, it's a little bit misleading because fixed costs looks like it's driving the train, so to speak. It has the highest percentage increase. But if I heard you correctly, what you're saying is that really the true factor behind this is the claims and the claim amounts for the year. That's really what's driving this higher preliminary increase. Is that correct?
Correct, and my apologies if it didn't come through. Yeah, on the summary slide, when you look at just the percentages, of course it looks like the largest. Here at Wellmark, a 19% increase, but the claim factors are 12.9. But we have to look at the dollars associated with that. So when we look at this slide here, that silo, I'll call it on the right, really shows the true impact. The majority of those costs are coming from your claims, 89.4%. Right. So when we're seeing a 12% or a 12.9% increase in expected claim factors, it's on a much greater number than that 19% of admin. Right. Again, we don't want to see an increase high on admin, but we want to, again, put it in perspective. It's a much smaller piece of that pie. Yeah.
So I think that's really important, Madam President, as we discuss this and look into the future, that although that 19% increase looks really large and looks like it's what's driving the initial renewal numbers, it really isn't. It's the claims behind and the bigger dollars that are driving that. So what we really want to be looking at is what you said, Sean, plan design, how we can look at some of those factors inside of the plan to help address a lot of those claims and try to work through the plan to bring that initial renewal number back down.
Absolutely. And sometimes we talk about, regardless of plans, sometimes plans have a year where claims increase. We want to go further than that. We want to see what is driving that. Is it something of opportunity? Is it something that we can focus more on so it doesn't become a recurrent theme and put you on a different trend line year over year? So that's what we'll be doing over the next couple of months, is identifying what is driving that increase in utilization. Are the high claimants one-off or are they ongoing? And see where we can improve upon that. So you are correct that the claim factor, that increase of $2 million compared to only $195, is what's driving that increase.
Thanks, Sean. One last comment. Again, Sean said it several times, but emphasizing that these are estimated renewal figures at this point.
Yes.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. Any other questions from board members? Okay.
Thank
you very much
Thank
for
you.
that. All right. An AP update, Dr. Lily Bruckner and John Carroll.
Good evening. I am Lily Bruckner, and I'll be doing the presentation on the Advanced Placement Program this evening. And I oversee the program in collaboration with Mr. J.J. Carroll, and then Crystal Reitzel, if you want to raise your hand. She's our new CCR assistant and overseeing the AP programs during test week and doing all that stuff. So just as a review, AP courses are rigorous courses. They're college-level courses that are taught in high schools by high school teachers. The oversight is provided by College Board, which is a national nonprofit organization. We do submit our syllabus to them on an annual basis and make sure that we're in alignment with what they are expecting for each course. They also set the AP exam dates and fees associated with those exams. So program data, in our district, we currently are offering 11 courses, 11 different AP courses. Central High School is offering 4 AP courses this year. Stevens High School is offering 10. And you can see Central High School has 88 students in the program this year. Stevens, has 241, totaling 329. Every year we give a student inventory for all AP students to kind of gauge what are the students asking for in regard to program development and course development, what are their perceptions. We did find that 41% of our students are hearing about AP courses between grades 6 and 8, and then another 43% by 9th grade. And so 80% of our students are hearing about these courses prior to their ability to take them in 10th grade. So we're reaching students in regard to their option to take these. Out of the responses for this, I do want to tell you we had 288 students take this survey, 500 out of 573 students, so it's about a 50% response rate, and 64 of the respondents were from Stevens High School, which makes sense considering they have a larger population in AP. Another thing, students are encouraged to take courses through their peers, through parent or guardian or teachers, but 82% of students are saying that they share information about AP courses with their peers, and so we continue to want to use their fellow students as a way to increase the program enrollment across the district as a whole. And overall, students do believe that AP courses are more beneficial than other courses. 65% of students do believe that. And then factors that influence their decision to take AP courses, the fact that it's a challenging academic environment, the opportunity to earn college credit, their content interests, so interested in what they're doing in order to prep for college, GPA boosts, these are weighted courses, or the teacher that teaches the course. So this chart shows the data for AP exams between last year and this year. As you can see, 71% of our students chose to take AP exams last year. This year it's 112%. There is some duplicated count in there because some students are choosing to take multiple exams. And you do see the drop in AP numbers. There is some discrepancy here because of students who took multiple courses last year are reflected in the May 2021 data. And in the 2022 data, it's not duplicated count. So those numbers are a little deceiving. And, but we did see a decrease overall in the program. Central High School did see about a 62% decrease in their AP population. And Stevens saw about a 45% decrease.
Really quick, did the AP courses at Central actually go down within this last year as well?
Correct.
So they had more at one point in time?
Yes, so
Okay.
they cut, I believe, 4 courses out due to lack of student interest or lack of instructor.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, so we did anticipate a decrease there. Okay. And like I said, the decrease for Stevens may be a little exaggerated in these numbers.
Okay.
I do want to take a minute to talk about some of our AP Scholars students. So AP Scholars are recognized if they have 3 or more AP exams over the course of their high school career and earn a score of 3 or greater. So a passing score is a 3, 4, or 5. And so as you can see, in the district we had 31 AP Scholars, 10 AP Scholars with honors, and then AP Scholars with distinction we had 18. All of those students received a congratulatory postcard over the summer, congratulating their academic effort. I'd also like to take a minute to recognize Caden Kelderman from Central High School. He's been recognized as a National Merit Finalist, and out of 1.5 million in entrants, they select 16,000 semifinalists, and then the majority of those, about 12,000 of those, go on to be finalists. So he's being recognized as one of the best in the nation, so super proud of him. Program improvements, we do have a dedicated district position for this. This is the second year we've had that dedicated position. That has certainly allowed us to take out some of the minutia of facilitating an AP program and establishing a baseline between both schools and trying to keep things equal. We've also developed an AP annual timeline and communication plan, making sure that families and students are getting the information they need in the correct timeframes. We're continuing with online payments. In the past, students could pay in cash or check at either the attendance office or the registrar's office or variety of places, so we've moved those to online exclusively through our eFunds program that we already use for a variety of things, so that has worked out really well. We also recognize students through AP potential letters this year. This is the second year of doing that, so students who took the PSAT exam in October, if they were highlighted as an AP potential student, and that's something College Board goes through and based on their scores identifies students who have AP potential, they all received letters prior to course registration to encourage them to take AP courses. We also have a document that has been distributed by faculty to our students and parents about program expectations and understandings, so students know, and students and their families know what they're getting into when they're signing up for an AP course, because the expectations obviously are at a higher level than other courses. We're continuing to do AP professional development. We have worked with Ms. Valerie Seals and her team, and so any new AP teachers will be going to an AP Summer Institute. Hopefully the year prior or the summer prior to them teaching for the first time for AP. And our department has also agreed to send teachers on a 5-year rotating basis to make sure that they're keeping current and staying up to date on the most on the best practices for AP courses, especially because College Board continually updates their curriculum, and we need to make sure we're staying in alignment with that. This year we've also implemented our student advisory team, and that is a group of students both from Stevens and Central that meet with me on a quarterly basis to kind of go through what they're hearing, what they're seeing in regard to the AP program, and that's been really good to hear what they want. And then finally, we do have a AP Physics C Mechanics course that will be added in the fall of 2023 at Stevens High School. That is a course that a lot of our students take that exam on an annual basis, and they go in the morning a couple of times a week and learn from Dr. Smith, and so we're excited to be offering that in the school year. I always like to include student impact statements. This is Megan. She is an 11th grader at Stevens High School. As you can see, she's taken a laundry list of AP courses already. After her sophomore year, she had 23 college credits from a variation of dual credit and AP. So she speaks to the quality of our AP program. Mr. Sheehy from Central High School shares the goal of AP courses is not necessarily college credit, but rather challenging learning environments for our students and preparing them for college in a safe environment where they can be challenged and supported at the same time. And then Mr. Smith, our AP Physics teacher at Stevens High School, He creates really dynamic learning experiences for students and has quite a program that he's developed there. So. And finally, I'd like to say thank you to our exceptional AP teachers and students. Without them, we wouldn't have a program, and we're really grateful to have the one we do. So with that, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you. That is a great presentation. Are there any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a
Troy,
question.
go ahead.
I think I heard the answer, but the discrepancy between the number of AP courses in Central and Stevens is due to student interest and teacher availability?
Correct.
Okay, so what would happen if there was student interest but no teacher? So does that mean?
So then we, for example, last year, AP Chemistry was a course that had been developed due to a late teacher resignation. Central was unable to do it despite student interest. And so that just kind of moved to the top of the list to make sure it's ready to go for next year, and it is. Some of those students did take the course at Stevens High School. We had 5 students trying to commute between the schools in order to take that course. Unfortunately, only 1 is left, but she's holding strong. So, so we always train the staff, and so it's a matter of identifying a staff member who could teach the course based on student interest and getting them the appropriate training.
Okay, and then tell me, when is the interest determined? How do you know who wants to do it? How is that?
That's based on the course selection process that's done at each of the high schools, and so we know as of now what courses, what AP courses we'll be running. Next year we will be running 5 at Central and then the 11 at Stevens.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? No? Okay, go ahead, Amy.
As part of the Pathways program, I thought at one point we were looking at some AP capstone classes for some of the pathways. Is that still in the plan? Because it's a pretty flexible AP class for students in their senior year.
Mm-hmm. Are you referring to AP capstone, the course itself, or to AP computer science principles?
The AP capstone.
Okay, the AP capstone, it has been looked into. As we further get into the model, we'll continue to look into that option as adding that.
And that would be the model with the pathway, the academies.
Correct.
program.
So a student could potentially sign up for that AP capstone experience, and it could go across all 6 academies.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to information item, moving back to the 22 credits, Val Seals.
Val Seals and 2 of our high school principals. Mr. Talley was not able to make it today.
Okay.
So yes, we've been having discussions back and forth between the high school principals, myself, and senior leadership team about graduation requirements. It's District Code IKF is our policy that discusses graduation requirements. Just a little background for our newer members of the board. Back in 2018, the Department of Ed changed the graduation requirements. The state requires 22. We exceeded their requirement by implementing 24. Part of the state's adjustment included the advanced endorsements. We had 2 years to implement those, and we used those 2 years to prepare our transcripts and be ready to recognize the advanced career, and advanced honors endorsements. So they did give us a soft rollout. We used that, so we're 2 years into our process at this point. This is the high school graduation requirements required by the state, and it's right on the DOE's website. When you search grad requirements, you can see how many credits of English, 4, math, 3, science, 3, and so on. You'll also notice that many courses are electives. So for mathematics, the state stops at Algebra 1 and allows the other 2 math classes to be electives, whereas Rapid City area schools went above and beyond that and require algebra and geometry plus an elective math credit. So in some cases, we did set the bar a little higher than what the state required because we want our students to pursue those challenging courses as able. So you can see our current graduation requirements. We're at 24. We mirror what the state requires for, including personal finance and 3 credits of science and 3 credits of social studies. What you will notice is that we do 3.5 credits of academy and 4.5 credits of electives. And back on the state, they had 5.5 elective because they didn't require the academy credits. And so the thinking at the time, if I could speak for Melissa, was that we fully endorsed the academy model and the pathways approach. However, we didn't want students to feel shorted out of their electives. And our fine arts courses and other electives that are very important to our students, we didn't want to look like we were squeezing those out. And so 24 credits was attempted, but all 3 high school principals are proposing that we amend it to 22 credits. The truth of the matter is, it's only 2.5 credits of electives, but if a student like my own, decides to exceed that, they're welcome to do so. There's no reason a student couldn't take 5.5 credits of electives. Under our current course schedule, they certainly have ample time in their schedules to take any interest area courses that they would like to. So part of the thinking behind the 22 credit proposal is that it supports all students. Our schools are finding that 24 credits are a barrier for many students, especially those that come to us credit deficient or are credit deficient. But it also allows those students who choose to exceed 24 to continue to do so. It's not unheard of for students to graduate with 28, 29, 30 credits. All students obtain the base diploma with the proposed changes. Students who seek to earn advanced endorsements may still do so and may do it within the 22 credits if they don't want to exceed what's required. The proposed changes do not impact our ability to meet report card indicators that are required by the state. It does not change our career academy model. One consideration our high school principals have really been feeling the pain on is current staffing levels. With the number of FTE we have and the number of repeat students we have, it's nearly impossible to sustain this 24 credit requirement without upping our staffing. And this change is supported by all 3 high school principals and the senior leadership team, as I mentioned. Policy IKF would be amended, and I have done the work to amend it, and we'll bring it forth in the first meeting in May. But District Code IKF will be amended to read 22 credits required instead of 24. And the other change that moves around is what identifies a student as a sophomore, junior, or senior. So currently, to be a sophomore, you need 6 credits and to have, be in your second year of school. Moving it back down to 22, they will only need 5 credits to achieve sophomore status. I'm a little trigger happy on my mouse. So again, currently juniors need 12 credits and to be in their 3rd year. With the amendment, they would only need 11, and seniors, 16 instead of 18 credits would be required for that status. IKFE3 is an exhibit that's attached to this policy, and the only reason I brought this one up, and I know it's super small, but we went through this at length when we first implemented it. There is a small change here. Financial algebra is the course that Instructional Council and all of you have heard about as a 3rd year alternative. That class is rolling out for next year, so the table's just been amended to show that is a 3rd year option for students. And then finally, IKFE4 talks about transitioning students and specifically those students that transfer to us maybe in their sophomore or junior year and how we accept them and the fact that they're missing some of the credits that we require that other districts don't. So this one in particular is addressing grad time. Grad time is that quarter credit course that's embedded within the schedule. There are 8 lessons, 6 are required to earn that quarter credit. But students coming to us from Sturgis or Sioux Falls or where have you may not have had that course. And so we're giving 10th graders the option, if they enroll in 10th grade, to complete the freshman and 10th grade grad time concurrently, or they can complete any 0.5 credit alternative elective. So basically giving those students some freedom to not experience grad time as a barrier, but to move forward with grad time from, where they enter, because we do believe it's an important opportunity for our students as they plan for post-secondary opportunities. And that is it. It's minimal changes. It's long been discussed, and so that's why I'm here to talk about it. But I'd like to invite these two up to answer any questions since they're the high school principals. So Jennifer Roberts and Jocelyn Hafner.
Any questions? Go ahead.
I have a question, and it's not to cause any confusion, but I just have a question. So at one point, it was 22. Then somebody made the recommendation to go to 24. And now the recommendation is going back to, can I just ask, was that, I won't get nobody in trouble, throw nobody in the bus. So that was a recommendation from somebody to the board to go from 22 to 24.
Because I was there at the time and because I worked closely with Melissa Miller-Kincart, who was our former CCR director,
okay.
I can speak to the process. She and I co-chaired a committee when the state changed their graduation requirements in 2018 to look at what those requirement changes were, to look at what the advanced endorsements really meant, and also to discuss the potential of moving to 24 credits so that electives weren't interfered with the academy model. And now that we've played that out for a few years, we're finding that not only is it unsustainable, but students can access those electives on their own.
All right, so it's a learning curve that caused you to now say, oops, that didn't work, so let's go back. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from board members? You may. Yes.
Thank you. So I just pulled up my Skyward to look at my total credits, and I have 23.5 credits right now. I've taken all of the required government personal finance, all 3 years of science and math, and the required courses to graduate, and I've exceeded my status quo, which is 22 credits I was grandfathered in. And I think it's a good idea to go back, because really and truly, and I also talked to Principal Talley earlier today, and simply because the 24 credits doesn't add very much opportunity, it doesn't increase the opportunity of students, and the 22 would expand the opportunity for students not only to take the classes they want to, but to also give them the freedom to not take the classes they don't need or don't want to. And that's all I had to say, so thank you.
That is definitely part of what I think the principals were seeing for students as well, so.
Yeah, I would say at Rapid City High School that the staff is very supportive of the switch to 22 credits, should that be adopted. We have concerns because at Rapid City High School, while a student can come directly from 8th grade and get everything that they need to graduate, that the students that were kind of under the 24 credit goal are creeping up on us, and our staffing is limited. We're pretty bare bones, and so we're feeling a little bit stressed about how that would work out. And we certainly, in getting most students come to us not directly from middle school, but from some struggles they had at Stevens or Central, I would say the majority of students are credit deficient, and it is very difficult to be facing down the extra 2 credits when we have students that are over 4 years to graduate already, and to extend that by 2 credits, and particularly because they're electives, which I don't see that as being enough of a value add to the community of Rapid City to represent to them that, you know, we feel that this is that important to perhaps hold them back from graduating a little bit longer in order to get 2 more elective credits. So there's something that, you know, is a concern for us, and worried about being able to make that work for students.
Thank you for those comments. Yeah, any other questions? Yes.
I have a couple of questions. I thank you for the presentation, and thank you for coming together as high school principals and addressing an issue that you're seeing. And I would agree with your analysis that 22 credits are achievable for majority of the students, and those who can achieve more, their opportunity is there for them. This may go off the side a little bit for those students who want to achieve more credits. I understand we're moving back to a different schedule at Stevens High School, which would decrease the number of elective credits available for the students there to take. Can you just give me a little bit of explanation on what's going on there?
Yes, we are currently exploring that option of an 8-period day, and actually within that option there's a 0 period. And so we have several classes that we are going to be offering during 0 period and looking at, we wanted to look at what we could do with our jazz band and our fine arts and some of those areas that have, since we moved to the block scheduling, they have actually decreased in our numbers. And so we're looking at how can we do that. We also are trying to put some of our weights, our advanced weight training in the morning during 0 period. A lot of our athletes prefer that, and so we're looking at different options for students. So we will actually have students who can still continue to take 8 classes. We also, I was just doing some data, we had several students, actually I believe it is, I'm not going to know the exact numbers because I was looking at 2017 through 2020 today about the amount of students that we have that actually, and that's before we moved to a block scheduling, that we're doing over 28 credits, that we're receiving over 28 credits. So we have several students who, even though we didn't offer all of those classes, we didn't have a 0 period to offer some of the PE in those classes, students were still receiving those. We have a lot of students who do dual enrollment online. We have students who take math when they are 7th and 8th graders, and so a lot of students are able to get over that 28 credit. I had one student who I saw that had 45 credits. Megan Zhu, that you saw earlier on the AP, she probably already has that many credits. So students are able to do that.
So you're moving back to a 0 hour to achieve 8 credits, and it would be a 7-hour day without that. Would there be the possibility to add an academic course, like an AP course, in that 0 hour? And I'm just asking that because if we're unable to have the AP courses at Central that we have at Stevens, could that hour be used to offer AP credits to Central High School students?
We're actually exploring that, but what we have found is that when we have a different schedule than Central, actually that increases the possibility of Central students coming over to Stevens. So when they can come over, if they come over during first period, it ends before their first period ends, so then they can drive back and get into a second block. So actually having a different schedule was more advantageous for our students sharing.
Thank you. Then I also had a question about the grad time credit for transfer students. I know that I've had some parents ask if that can be an optional credit for their students, our homegrown students. So when we're opening the option up for transfer students, are you going to open the option up for homegrown students?
That's not the way it's written. It is a grad requirement. And I guess I would say the same to geometry. I'm sure there's probably plenty of parents that would like to opt their student out of that course. We don't allow that because it's our own grad requirement.
However, the grad, if you were to do that, then at least it would be equal. If you're going to offer it for somebody that's coming in, I don't, at least maybe consider it as a possibility, since it is just 8 courses throughout the year, and 6 are the ones, maybe offer that as the elective, or at least consider it.
Is grad time, is it only, the class is only addressing post-high school planning? Are you teaching your counseling lessons and all
It
of
has
that kind of
elements
stuff
of
in
High
there?
School 101 for the freshmen. It has elements of test anxiety, yes. Just the encounters of a high schooler.
Harassment, some of those, it's things that, I would say that grad time addresses things that are not, that don't, we really feel that are positive add-ons for students, but they're not addressed in a specific course. So for example, how to cope with test anxiety does not fit in any course, and this is a way that we make sure all students access that and can get that support and help. You know, anyway, it's offering that extra. And speaking to accommodating students who come in and adjusting for the fact that they weren't here for freshman grad time or sophomore grad time. There's other things that we accommodate for somebody who moves in district. So for example, you know, yeah, in the way the history classes flow, or the way what they called their English classes there, we try to kind of squish and adjust. And so if, you know, yours didn't line up exactly with ours, but how can we accommodate and see what aligns? And we're aware that, you know, if there is another district they moved from that they did not have grad time, that it seems unfair to say you must take this when you didn't even have it available to you as a freshman, sophomore, junior, and now we're requiring you to take this with all 9th graders, all 10th graders, all 11th graders, and complete the senior work in your last year of high school because you moved here. You know, and we do try to accommodate and massage and try to align things as we get students in from all over the place, you know, as people are mobile and move, and we see all kinds of strange things that, you know, we've never seen before here come from different places and different districts, and it's trying to make those work together for the benefit of students.
I would also add that part of the grad time is about the classes are about scheduling classes and looking at what we currently offer. And so I don't know that that would be as applicable to someone who's not currently a student within the district.
Okay, is there, go ahead.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thanks.
We are moving on to the high school activities handbook. Thomas Stewart, thank you. Sorry, I had to find my place.
Good evening, Dr. Simon and School Board. I will keep it short and sweet. There are essentially two major changes to the high school activities handbook. The one is the middle school petition process for a middle schooler to participate in high school sports. Starts on page 16, and then, excuse me, my eyes. And then the softball adjustments that were made due to moving from a club sport to a school-sponsored sport. All those are encompassed on page 26, 38, and 52 throughout there. I know it looks like a lot of red and blue ink, but those are primarily the two big issues addressed in the activities handbook.
Thank you. Any questions from board members? No? Yeah? Okay. You're good.
All right.
Thank you. All right, information items, Central High School, the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology Upward Bound Grant. Jackie Talley.
This essentially is one of those 21st century grants that the high school was approached through South Dakota School of Mines to further their science, math, and STEM activities. It's a 5-year grant with approximately $260,000 per year.
And how does it help? What does it do for the
It
student?
actually, there's several items that it would encompass. Summer instructional component. Those students could also attend all of the summer STEM activities out at the college. There's a tutoring component for those in the area of math and science. It helps with secondary and post-secondary course selection. They would work with the high school along with, I know, our career and college readiness department in helping students with financial aid information, counseling for college, those types of activities. I think one of the biggest one is really the guidance. They talked a lot about the guidance activities to assist students in, those students especially that want to pursue a degree in math or science. I think the STEM activities would only enhance that and assist those students in probably taking more AP classes in those areas or dual credit.
Do they have any, the grant, is there a reporting system back to track these kids, or, you know, where the money goes?
Basically, the reporting system is how we set up the grant in terms of obligating certain dollar amounts. There was no dollar amounts for staff. It was mainly all for students, supplies, activities, possible credit or classes to include those lab science classes. They also, it's very similar to what we're doing with the Upward Bound, where they would have a focus on 60 or more students, depending on those students that would be interested in a career in math or science or those STEM activities.
Okay. Any other questions for board members? Nope. Okay, go on to the next one. I think that one's yours too.
Yeah. The next one involves the South Dakota Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources. It is a grant that our Student Nutrition Department is pursuing, of course, with your permission. They would like to receive $5,000, which will help increase their ability to offer fresh and local foods. The only probably activity that's tied to this that's required is to serve one meal, and they have chosen East Middle School, serve one meal to students that's all fresh grown fruits, vegetables, homegrown meats, those kinds of things directly from our community, our neighboring communities.
So from our local food market or farmers market?
Yeah. All homegrown.
Is that ongoing or just 1 year?
That is a 1 year for the 22-23 school year. And they've also partnered, it's a partnership with Western Dakota because they have a department of horticulture that does the growing of foods, and also they will work with the students that are at that college to do it for our school district if we're awarded.
Sounds like a good one for every year. How much involvement are the kids seeing in this, the students? Because, you know, if we're trying to move towards skills and the pathways that we have, entrepreneurship is one of those type of things that they could even see that as something that they could do for themselves, at least feeding themselves later on in life, that type of thing.
There is some education that will go along with it to those students at East Middle School.
Excellent. Okay. Awesome. All right. Next one is, unless there's more questions. Koi Sassy, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. Board, very quick update regarding South Middle School capital outlay certificates. We talked on April 5th, 2 weeks ago, about the sale of the certificates, trying to finalize that the next day, and the need to move quickly because of the volatility of the market right now. Well, wouldn't you know that the very next morning, the Fed officially stated that they would be moving interest rates multiple times over the next 2 months, with most likely the first rate hike happening in May. So that immediately caused the interest rate market to go bananas. And so the gentleman that we've been working with moved very, very quickly the next morning to finalize that sale and get all their certificates placed, which they did. And there was very little movement, thank goodness. If you recall, on the 5th, we talked about the total interest cost looking at about 3.27% at that time. So we did have a very minimal slip, about 0.1% up to 3.37, which ultimately over the 20-year life of those certificates causes about another $180,000 interest, additional interest payments. Now, you know, it moves very, very quickly, and it's really amplified because of the big numbers involved. It doesn't change the average debt service at all because it's obviously spread out over a 20-year period. So in terms of the payback, we won't see any difference in the numbers. We'll only see that if we take those certificates to the full 20-year amortization. One of the positive things that happened is we actually received about another $500,000 in the premium side of that, which essentially to us is free money. So the premium went from just under $1 million to about 1.48. So actually, in terms of the total transaction, we're coming out ahead in this transaction compared to the one that we looked at on April 5th. So a small slippage in interest rate, but ultimately we're getting a better deal because of the intense market at that time in the competition happening for these type of certificates. So overall, actually, this was a good thing somehow, miraculously, as it ended up. But that transaction is closed. We will see those funds in our account on May 5th. That will be finalized and done. And we'll sit on those funds, obviously, until the point that we run out the ESSER funds, and then start using those funds. And then the final funds to go in, if necessary, will be cash from our capital outlay. So, brief update. Any questions? I will do my best to answer, Madam President.
It does not look like there is any.
Okay, thank you, Board.
Thank you. And Dr. Simon, Superintendent Report.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll begin by welcoming back our students and staff from spring break. The final push to the end of the school year is now on, and I know our teachers and our administrators are feeling it. I would like to congratulate Stevens High School on an excellent production of Into the Woods prior to the break. My husband and I enjoyed a great evening of entertainment. Next week, I look forward to attending the Evening of Excellence on Monday night and Central's production of Alice in Wonderland Thursday evening. Finally, I wish our juniors, seniors, and their guests a fun, memorable, and safe prom. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any board members have any others? Okay. I need a motion to adjourn. Deb and Troy. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right, we are adjourned.